Welcome back to the Cottage Talk post-match show. I'm Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is Emilio Danello and Max Cohen. This episode, we're going to be talking about Fulham's 2-2 draw against West Bromwich Albion, which is a disappointing result for Fulham. We'll go through all that and definitely want everyone's feedback on this because later on in the show, we're going to be asking the question, do you think Fulham can survive, or has this match convinced you that they're going to get relegated? That'll be the second half of the show. The first half of the show is really going to be about the match. So I know we all have a lot to say about this, so I'm not going to waste any time. Let's go to Mad Max's thoughts on this match. Max, over to you. Give me your opening thoughts on what we watched yesterday.
Yeah, it was the biggest step we've taken towards relegation all season. And it was depressing in the way that many kind of saw it coming, even though I was here on the preview show and predicted a Fulham win. It reminded me so much of the Brighton game in the way I felt afterwards, in the sense that it was another opportunity lost. And there's still the chance for people to say, we didn't lose, we still got the draw, there's still hope. And there's still a chance for people to cling on to some semblance, of idealism amid this terrible situation. But the fact of the matter is, this is our best chance at winning a football match until the end of the season. I strongly believe that. West Brom are an awful side, and we saw that in the first 45 minutes. And we played well. But we didn't get the killer second goal, and that's what kills teams in elite competitions like the Premier League. Yep. And we'll play a lot of football matches towards the end of the season. I'm not in any doubt that we have 18 matches left. That's a lot of season to go.
That's right.
We won't face an easier match, and I firmly believe that. And the more we pass up opportunities, like last week against Brighton or yesterday against West Brom, we're putting more pressure on ourselves. Now we have to go beat 6 more teams with no margin of error. And there are 6 teams I think we could possibly beat, right? We'll talk about it later, but I think it's the likes of Palace, Sheffield United, Newcastle, maybe Leeds, Burnley. Teams who are in the table, not necessarily in the relegation dogfight around us. But we literally cannot afford just to draw because then we're forced to win against United or a City or an Arsenal, right? So we have such a big task ahead of us. And the fact that we drew the most winnable match this season, thanks to a second half collapse, is inexcusable. And the same problems we're going to talk about later in much more detail. Yeah. We don't have a clinical striker to finish off chances, right? Mitrovic came back, he played well, but who did the chances fall to? Decadova-Reid, Lookman, Loftus-Cheek. And Decadova-Reid is great for maybe 1 goal, but he's not the one who can get 2 in a game or really kill a game off. We know that. He's not a Premier League top striker, we don't have that. And then there was no togetherness in that second half. Once a goal goes down, heads dropped, where's the people in central midfield making chances? As Emilio was saying off air, who's the one playing that killer pass? It's not there. And that to me is, we can talk all we want about, there are probably 6 winnable matches left. And we probably, we need to win all 6. But can this team, and I was saying this to Dan Crawford in the Hammy End chat, he's very optimistic, more than I am. I said, Dan, I understand there's 6 winnable matches. On the show. I said there's 6 winnable matches. But can you convince me that this team we saw draw Brighton and draw West Bromwich Albion can win 6 more football matches for the rest of the season? I don't believe they can. I want to believe it. They can't, Ross. They really just can't. Okay.
Excellent stuff to start us off. Emilio, I'm going to call it right now. I think it's Angry Emilio. So I put on Angry Emilio here. So give me your thoughts. Is it Angry Emilio?
I am angry. Okay. I am angry. It's I've been defending the team for the last couple of months. They're getting better, more difficult to beat, grinding out some very credible results against top 6 opposition. But I've been saying for the last few weeks, judge us against the teams around us. Win those 2 games against Brighton and West Brom, and then you believe what I'm saying. But actually, we failed to win both those games. We deserved nothing against Brighton. I thought I wouldn't say we hung on against West Brom. I don't think we deserved to win that game yesterday on 90 minutes. On chances, first half, yes. But how many saves did the keeper make? Far too casual, too arrogant, too wasteful in front of goal. And to Max's point, if we had a true striker, we would have been 3-0 up, game over. And then you can grab the 3 points and then start, resting maybe a couple of players in the second half and prepare for the Leicester game. But if you don't take your chances, you're going to pay the price for it. And it's the first time we scored 2 goals in a game since, Leicester away a couple of months ago.
That's right.
And it still wasn't enough to beat the easiest away game in the division this season, to Max's point. So I am angry. 2 points dropped. The Brighton game was always going to be a little bit more harder. So if we would have got 4 points returned from these 2 games, I think we would have accepted that. But we're running out of games. And I keep saying, win 6 games, we'll got a very good chance of staying up. But 2 of those 6 games, we haven't won. So there's less 6 games to win from. I still think we'll talk about that in the second half of this show. But I'm angry for the arrogance of the players being wasteful in front of goal, too casual. Even after half an hour, when you saw a couple of chances not going in, press them for 45 minutes, kill the game off. Because
I completely agree. They weren't ruthless enough.
Let's protect the 1-0 lead. We'll go in the second half. But anyone knows, and I'm no football manager, but you're expecting a Sam Allardyce tactical change. He did that immediately, and Absolutely. It made a difference. And I applaud him for making the change because they were absolutely awful in that first half. And to be honest, I'd argue they deserve to be 2-1 up. They wanted it more. They wanted that game.
Well, it was effort, honestly, in those first 15 minutes of the second half, Emilio. It was effort.
They who wanted it more? When they got that,
who wanted it more? Exactly.
When that equaliser went in, they had belief. They said, you know what, we can go on and win this game now. And it could have been 3-1 if that chance just went by the post. That would have been game over for Fulham. It would have been an absolute humiliation. But we managed to claw back, got the draw. But overall, it's that first half that for me was so Fulhamish. Total dominance, and yet it wasn't enough to win the game. And that's because of the arrogance, wastefulness in front of goal, no clip, no striker, and just not pressing enough, especially that last 15 minutes. Stop bloody, excuse my French, passing the ball around. Go one way, go forward, and attack it. You've got them on the back foot, but we let them back in the game, and you've got to blame the players and also tactics as well.
Yep.
So I am angry because that's the easiest 2 points that we've dropped all season.
Okay. And I understand where both of you guys are coming from. And that goes back to the title of the show. Fulham do not know how to win. I think that's pretty self-evident. They need to figure out how to win because they're not, like you said, Emilio, back to what you said, they are not taking advantage of a team when you are in the ascendancy, you need to go full throttle at them. You need that second goal. And they were not aggressive enough during that period of time. So now it's time for what I'm calling Russ's rant. I'm bringing this back because I've got my own rant on this. It obviously involves the match, and we'll talk about the rest when we talk about the second half of the show. But everything that you guys were talking about with the play, I agree with because, again, you have this opportunity in front of you. You're up 1-0, and the approach should be aggressiveness. Instead, it was – I don't know if I'd go to arrogance where you said, Emilio. I just don't think it was to the point where you needed to be taking it from them to them. You were still reacting to them, Emilio, if that makes sense. You were still playing the same style, the counterattacking style. They were giving you the ball, but it was still, like you said, it was just passing back and forth. You were not aggressive enough. And when you had your opportunities, as you said, Emilio, you weren't ruthless enough. But why I am in the other category from you guys, and we'll talk about this in the second half of the show, I've not wavered on my belief in this team. I've already seen comments saying that we have the same total that we had 2 seasons ago. Yes, but this is not the same team. My eyes tell me this is not the same team. The reason why I'm encouraged, believe it or not, is those first 30 minutes because I could see the potential there. I also could see that, believe it or not, I think Mitro can play in this style. I think it was proven that he can make a difference. What an incredible pass to set up the goal. He was actually playing as a team member. He was a team player in that match. Now, in the second half, like you said, Emilio, certainly he did not have the opportunities, and a lot of that had to do with West Brom. But what I saw from this team in those opening stages convinced me not only this, and what Max said, and we'll talk about this later on, where the 6 wins going to come from. Why can't they beat Leicester City again? Why can't they beat West Ham United? They should not fear any team. They keep proving it. Now, to Emilio's point, they dropped the ball with these 2 matches. They deserve nothing against Brighton. And, as Emilio said to me, Emilio, you're right. They didn't deserve to win because they did not take their chances. But you know what? They have proven that they can play it with anyone. The trick for them will be, and this is what we could talk about later, can they beat the teams around us or even mid-table teams? Because that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to learn to do that. They're going to have to learn how to win. And if they can do that, and then maybe the manager changes things, tweaks things with his style a little bit to play against teams like this. Because, again, we were still playing the same style, guys. He should have, in my opinion, played a more aggressive style on the front foot. He did not do that. He stuck with what has been going since he was playing all the bigger clubs. Why not have a different approach against teams around you? He did not. He stuck with the 3 at the back, the 5 at the back, whatever way you want to say it. That was a part of this because I think that sets you up to be more defensive. At times, they need to be more aggressive, and they weren't. And I can put that on the players, but I can also put that on Scott Parker. But I hope that they learn from this, and maybe Scott Parker not just takes a look at the player, but analyzes what he's been doing and his staff and say, you know what? We need to change things. We need to be more aggressive in certain matches. They did it the first time against West Brom. Why can't you do it again? He did not. He set them up to beat them on the break, and they were doing that, and it was beautiful. But the thing about it is it still wasn't on the front foot, guys. We'll agree with that. So my thoughts on this is, am I disappointed? Absolutely. But I see a path to Fulham staying in this division. I'm not changing my mind on it, and I'll make my argument in the second half of the show. Okay.
Yeah, and I think on that point, I think I've said it quite a number of times on these shows. I think we play better against the teams where there's less pressure.
That's right.
Teams that press us. We saw, a bit of West Brom second half. They pressed us.
That's right. When teams press us, we struggle. You're right.
Brighton twice. Southampton pressed us. We didn't look like conceding often, but we didn't look like scoring either. We had lack quality in creating opportunities when teams are pressing us and not giving us space. I think we play better when teams haven't got much to play for. So maybe playing Wolves, Leeds United at home are easier games than playing teams at the bottom who are fighting for their lives.
I think that's where I'm going on this, Emilio.
I'm trying to stay optimistic here, but if you reflect on the points that we've grabbed this season, the draws, we've performed better over 90 minutes against the so-called better teams.
That's right.
Struggle to grab points and close games off against the teams around us. 2 games against Brighton, Sheffield United early in the season. Again, daylight robbery. We dropped 2 points there as well. Did the same again yesterday. If that was another team, I actually think we would have had enough confidence to close those games out. But it's various factors here that's contributing to our downfall. But it's looking perilous. It's looking perilous at the moment, and we can't keep. We're running out of games. That's my worry. We're running out of games, and we can't say, okay, move on. 2 games we've not won. Let's look forward to Leicester City. There's only so many games you can look forward to, and it's we need points on the board. The table doesn't lie now, and I said people keep saying it time and time again. The table doesn't lie.
No, I totally agree. That's going to lead me to just get right to it, guys, and then we'll break down the match in about 10, 15 minutes time frame. We'll break it down. Max, to you, biggest takeaway from the match? It might have already been in your opening statement. What is the biggest takeaway to come from you as we look at this 2-2 result?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway for me is how worrying the first 20-odd minutes of that second half were.
Okay,
because I think we can all agree the first half. I can even push back against you, Russ, in terms of the aggressive nature. I thought we were very aggressive first half, and we created more chances than I've seen us create in the last 4 matches combined.
But it was on the counter.
That to me doesn't really matter. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Chances are chances. I don't care if they're on the counter or not. But I mean, deck it over to hit the post. Lookman might have had a penalty. We were creating good chances. That weren't just. It didn't feel to me like we were playing passively. I don't know. But more to my point, the second half. What I've always liked about Parker's teams is that, once the setback happens, they seem to fight back, right? And we did see that towards the end.
Yeah, we did. Absolutely.
I was so worried when that first goal went in, and it was such a shock because we'd so thoroughly dominated that first half, and West Brom were so completely out of the match that no one saw it coming. The commentator said, this is setting up perfectly for a game of 2 halves, but I thought it was just him trying to keep up the excitement of the match because realistically, West Brom were nowhere near that match. They were nowhere near the Hawthorns. They could have been, halfway around the world. They were no attacking threat to us. And as soon as they scored that, I expected Fulham to pick their heads up and say, right, let's just pick up where he left off. This changes nothing. Let's play our football. We were asleep. And I honestly have not seen us play that badly all season in the next 50 minutes that followed when we then shipped the second goal. And as Amelia mentioned, could have shipped the third goal.
Absolutely.
Right by. And it was a team sleepwalking. And at that point, you look for leaders. I didn't see a leader on the pitch. I didn't see a game plan on the pitch.
No,
it's almost the manager had no say.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
It's almost like we completely blacked out for 20 minutes, and things like that. That to me is the most worrying sign. Is because yes, I know we can create chances. We showed that. I'm a bit worried we can't finish chances, but maybe hopeful. But we cannot have stretches of the match where we simply go missing the entire 11 players. with no game plan already got into the manager, because that's what that was.
Yep.
Then we kind of found our way with the Cavalier goal. But I am so worried. What if that happens again? We can't. Again, my main thing is we have to play perfect the rest of the season to stay up. Essentially perfect.
Well, we have to play like the Great Escape. To be honest with you.
And one thing is, listen, we have a big sample size. We have 20 matches played. We've won 2. I see people in the comments, and I see you guys both saying we can play with anybody.
Yeah.
We can beat any team in the league. How have you only won 2 matches the entire season if you really believe we can beat any team in the league? I think we're playing decently. I don't see anything in this team that can win 6 more matches in this current state. We've won 2 all season. We've played 20 games. I don't know what kind of transformation are you expecting? Please tell me, because I want to hear it. I want to hold on to some hope. I just don't see it.
Okay, well, Max, to be honest with you, and it's funny because someone tweeted, well, Russ, tell me how they can do this. Well, I think it's going to be a team effort that includes the manager. The manager is going to have to change things, in my opinion. He's going to have to, in certain matches, change his style to a more aggressive style of formation that is more on the front foot. If he does that, and we see the parts of Mitro that I thought were very good yesterday, the team player, but again, we need to see that other side of his game, the goal scorer. He's there to score goals. My thought is that it's coming. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I think he got some confidence in this match. I think the goals are coming from Mitro. But not only that, the way he got other teammates involved encourages me that these 2 goals that we scored we're going to be seeing more of that than the 1 goal, because that, to me, the passing looked to me just so crisp. And I'm thinking, if they can do that in the upcoming matches, they're going to be fine. So that's where I'm going on this, is that the passing was there. The finishing isn't. If they get the finishing right, and if the style, I think, against certain opponents changes with Parker, with some of his tactics, I actually think we will survive. And I'm going to continue to say that, Max. That's why I'm looking at the first 20, 25 minutes as very encouraging to me. You gave the other side of it, which I completely agree with you.
Who are we playing, though, Russ? We're playing West Brom. We're playing as well. We're playing West Brom. We're not playing Liverpool or Arsenal. We're playing. No,
that's true. That's true.
Put that into context as
that's
well.
True. But Emilio, we did this against Liverpool too.
But we didn't take the chances. It's the same. We're going back around in circles. The same story. You play well, don't know how to score.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. And my takeaway, there's 2 takeaways, positive and negative. I think
Go ahead.
The positive. We're not going to get another striker in before the transfer window. I think it's inevitable we're not going to get anyone in. If we do, I'll be surprised.
So will I.
Supposedly your best striker. So Parker, stop complaining and find a way of utilising him. He looked good first half.
I thought he did too, Amelia.
Hungry. He needs service as well. And that's, that in the second half, he got 0 service. The negative for me, and this is probably over the last 2 games, we're starting to make a few defensive mistakes that weren't evident in the preceding big games. Man United, it was a great Pogba goal to win the game. Chelsea, you could argue Robinson let it tie down by getting sent off. Yep. But look against Brighton, we were given the ball away cheaply. It's thanks to their poor finishing that we came away with a point. And yesterday, those crosses into the box, left and right flanks, it's far too easy. We look a bit disorganised to me. I thought players are playing in makeshift positions. Probably they could have.
Well, Max said it was sleepwalking.
Yeah,
and I agree with him.
Too easy balls. Far too easy. They've got the ball in the danger area. Yep. If you get the ball into the 6-yard box, anything can happen. A deflection, an own goal, a penalty. How often do we do that? Lookman, all that beauty, all that silky skills. It's always outside the penalty area. Get that bloody ball into the 6-yard box. Make the defence clear the ball. Get corners. We're always trying to find 100 passes and basically do what Arsene Wenger's Arsenal team wanted. You want to walk the ball into the net. Be more direct at times. Yep. Like Harrison Reid, not pretty. He got the ball in the 6-yard box. What did we do? We scored a goal.
Exactly.
West Brom, left and right, 2 simple balls into the box. I'd argue both of them were a bit fortuitous. One had a deflection. Aina maybe should have been stronger in that tackle. But they scored from both those chances. What do we do? We're trying to pass the ball from the halfway line and walk it in, blindfolded into the net. That's the reason why we are where we are. So that's my biggest takeaway is we're starting, a few mistakes are creeping in. We got punished yesterday and we should have been punished on Wednesday against Brighton.
Okay. Very, very good. Good stuff from the 2 of you. All right. Let's just talk about this very briefly because I want to break down the match. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Max, your thoughts on the starting 11? Any surprises for you there?
Big thing, obviously, was Mitrovic is back, which I was happy with. Other thing, no Tete in the starting lineup.
What did you think about that?
I don't know. It's tough to say. Decker got a goal, massive goal. Also squandered an opportunity. Should he be playing? Should it be Decker right wing instead of Loftus-Cheek, and then Tete right wing back instead of Decker? It's a tough one to answer. I think next match I would go with what I just said, with Tete starting, and Decker right wing. I think Loftus-Cheek had a very good first half, but didn't do enough, I think, in terms of the final. I mean, everyone knows end product is his issue. So I don't think he deserves to start again. And I think Tete's a better right wing back than Decker is in terms of his defensibility.
How much do we miss Kearney?
Oh, I think we miss Kearney a lot. For sure. I actually think Lamina
is smiling right now.
Yeah. I thought Lamina did well yesterday. But I think the line it was a good lineup, and the main thing is that we had a number 9 and then Cavaleros on the bench. I think that's the big takeaway.
Although Cavaleros scores the equalizer, which is funny. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
That's a good role for him, Russ. I have no problem with Cavaleiro off the bench. I think Cavaleiro can be a very effective bench player. He's just not a striker, number 9. So it's not Cavaleiro.
No, we know that. We know that. That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. Emilio, your thoughts when you learned about the starting 11 you saw about an hour before the match. What were your thoughts going through your mind?
Not overly surprised, to be honest. If anything, I'm surprised to see Tet dropped or whatever, or tactically not playing, whatever you want. I would have dropped Aina, to be honest. I thought Aina was shocking against Brighton. He was one of our worst defenders on Wednesday night. I'm surprised he still started in that lineup. So I wasn't overly surprised. Obviously, everyone was speculating, will Mitro play or not? We're all crying out for it. He did the right thing, and I thought we were set up reasonably well in that first half. So for me, if you look at that starting 11, we looked good, we looked organised, we looked threatening, and we've said it, time and time again, we're not taking our chances.
Yep.
The other thing that's worrying me is players are knowing how to snuff out Lookman.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not being effective the last few games. He's got that goal against Man United. He's marshalled out the game. He's too lightweight, first and foremost. When he does get in a sort of half-scoring opportunity, he hasn't got enough strength in his shot. So it's just like a toe poke or like a side-footed pass to the keeper. I think he's been found out in a way. As much as I love the player, when he's not firing on all cylinders, where's that spark? Where's that energy? Where's that threat? Give the West Brom their dues. He was shielded off the ball second half, and maybe on another day, if he fell over or cheated, as some of the commentators said for that, he would have got penalty. He stayed on his feet and got nothing from it. So I thought that was more of a penalty than it wasn't. But I worry about Lookman's. If he's not on firing on all cylinders, we've lost that spark, that threat, which we had against all those big teams in all those other games leading up to Brighton, for example. What did he do against Brighton, and what did he do yesterday? That's a worry for me as well, because he's your creative spark, and
he absolutely is.
Then where is that quality coming from?
He absolutely is. Listen, guys, we have some really great comments. I'm just going to share them now because I think we should really talk about some of these comments. I'll just share a few of them. This is from Edward 7. Defensive mistakes are creeping in, like Emilio said. I agree. One player lately had a bad game defensively. And you're going to like this, Emilio. This is from our friend and co-host Brendan Cronin. Emilio Donnell, absolutely spot on as usual.
I try to be.
And this is also from Edward. BDR is producing more from that position than Ted, as you said, Emilio. And I want to share this one because, again, this is actually really good to you, Max. I think you're going to appreciate this one. You ready for this? Cav's head is better than his feet.
And honestly, that's a funny banterous comment. That's completely a great tactical analysis.
It is.
It's one of the 2 goals he scored this season other than the penalty. It's a header against Spurs. It's a header yesterday against West Brom. He's a very good header of the ball. That's a difficult diving header to equalize.
Yes, it is. Yesterday. Yes, it is. But
Ross, one thing about the header, you can't head it off your own head twice, like you can off your 2 feet, because you only have one head. So that's the benefit for Cavs.
Oh man, okay, that's actually very funny there, Max, and very true, by the way.
That's true.
Okay, great stuff, guys. All right, let's quickly break down this match because I really want to focus on the bigger picture that we'll be talking in just a few minutes, in about 10 minutes. But let's break down the match and let's just talk about first half analysis. Emilio, I'll just go to you real quick. Let's just talk about how Fulham played in the first half. And, for the first several minutes, I thought both sides were feeling their way through it. But then I have to go right to the goal because, again, this to me was something that we saw over and over again in the first half. Unfortunately, we only saw one goal, and I think that came back to bite Fulham. But let's talk about this, because this, to me, and to Max's credit, in a way, they were aggressive. I'm more talking about the approach after the goal, Max, where I just think that they should really just be pressing them and going after them, and maybe just forcing their way for that second goal instead of being more, I guess you could say, patient and then just waiting for them to make a mistake. I thought Fulham when I say aggressive, I mean I want them to be more on the front foot. Does that make sense? Like they're creating from another club's mistakes. Do you get that, Max? Where I was coming from on that?
I do see what you're saying, but I think I can't say that we, after we scored the goal, we just set up shop and thought.
No, I don't think that. But I just wanted them to be like, just go at them, But
that's I can understand you're feeling that way, but I felt like we did. I mean, okay. I don't really care what the tactics were, because it resulted in many chances. I think we all agree we should have been 2 or 3-0 up, and I think the commentators agreed, and when we watched that match agreed. So I would not criticize us in this match for lack of attacking.
Even at the end of the first half, where I thought maybe they settled a little bit into it. I think that's where the crux is.
I guess that's fair, but
I think it's where it is.
In reality, we should have had 3 goals, right? Yep. We were creating really good, high quality opportunities. Okay. So my frustration is not necessarily the tactics right then; it's with the players in the pitch not finishing.
Okay,
because the Decadova-Reid miss after his goal, the one where he's throwing goal and hits it off the left post.
Well, right.
That's a really bad miss, and I can't underestimate.
That was easier than the first one in a respect.
100% right.
It actually was.
So much time because it was a really nice move, and credit to him being in that position. I'm not going to criticize Decadova-Reid for all of it, but you have to score that.
I agree. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Emilio, your thoughts on the goal, and then we'll talk about all the missed opportunities, because I think that's the only way that we can really talk about the first half.
Yeah, and I think, look at it. It started with a beautiful looping ball from Lookman, in direct to your target man. What's his name? Mitrovic does what he does best. He held up well, but the difference between when Cavallero plays in there instead of Mitrovic is Cavallero doesn't look up. Cavallero just looks one-dimensional. Mitrovic had time to look up. He saw Bobby Decadova-Reid there, and a beautiful layoff, good finish. That's a difference in quality. I know Mitrovic is going through his bad spell, but that was Cavallero who held the ball well. What would he have done? He would have gone for goal. He wouldn't have looked around him.
That's right.
We would not have scored from that opportunity. That's why you've got to play your most experienced striker and your best quality striker who you've got in your books. It's those moments that could be decisive in a game.
Yeah, and he was there in that big moment.
And it was his awareness as well.
Yes.
Mitrovic has got a brain. He's not going. Like I said, just because he's not scoring goal doesn't mean he's not a clever player. He looked up, found a beautiful weighted pass, good finish from Reid, 1-0. And maybe I saw some of the comments here. Maybe we did score a bit too early, but sometimes when you're playing against a team that's too easy, I'd rather we have a game where it's a little bit more tighter and you have to work hard and keep possession. I thought sometimes it was because it was too easy. We felt that we could be a little bit complacent, and maybe.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm going on this.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit too easy. I'd rather West Brom being less awful. The game might have been a little bit tighter, but I think actually we probably would have won the game, because I think we might have been a little bit more clinical on those chances. I think, we missed this chance. We'll get another one soon. We'll get another. That's where the arrogance I was saying at the beginning came. Okay. I actually thought it was far too easy for us, and maybe that's why maybe we weren't being as clinical, because we would have been a little bit too complacent in front of goal. That's
actually a good point. And Max, I'll go to you, because we've already talked about the miss from Bobby Decadova-Reid, but it just wasn't him. There was several of them. And to your point, they were creating the opportunities. Maybe complacent is where I'm thinking about with Emilio, that they weren't. Maybe that's the word that best fits how I felt at the time, that I thought that they should be more of ruthless. And I don't think they were ruthless enough. They were trying, but maybe it just wasn't. It just didn't come off. I don't know. It's just how I'm wired. I understand where Scott Parker is coming, and it did work. His plan worked. I just really was focused on, I wanted a different formation in this match. Maybe that's where it's coming from, that I wanted a more aggressive style from the get-go. And his style worked, but in the end, we only got a point out of it. All right, so let's talk about the missed opportunities. You already talked about the one from Bobby Decadova-Reid, but you can also talk about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. But I also want to talk about this because, again, I heard Scott Parker asked about this should Fulham have gotten a penalty with Ademola Lookman? Let's talk about this because I thought at the time they should have. So let's talk about it. Do you think Fulham should have gotten a penalty?
Yeah, I think it was a penalty. The only issue is, Lookman is too honest there.
He took a shot.
And that's a complete indictment of the entire refereeing system.
Absolutely.
Because Lookman did the right thing, right? Obviously,
in this case, he did.
Yeah, I think it was Ajayi. He pushed him off balance. He knew he was beat. Lookman tried to cut back in, and Ajayi gave him a push. Now, what makes this – well, I don't think this was given for a number of reasons, but one reason is that Ajayi kind of pulled back his push. He didn't completely grab his shirt, and it was like a half push. So it definitely put Lookman off. It definitely should have been a penalty, but it's not one I think that the ref can say is a clear and obvious error because it wasn't as egregious as other things we've seen this season. That's my opinion. And then Lookman tries to make the most of the opportunity, which is 100% the right thing to do, which is what every player should do. But, as the pundits were saying, and as we all know, these days players are taught to go down for that reason exactly because it wasn't really even a conversation because the shot was off.
Well, I can't blame him on this.
Yeah.
Because
I completely applaud Lookman
on this at all, Max.
Yeah. I completely applaud him. I thought it was excellent.
It's the way, like you said, the way that they are taught. They're taught to go down. It's funny because I remember watching Marcus Rashford early in his career and he wouldn't go down. What happens now? It's a different Marcus Rashford. I remember watching him in a match like maybe 8 matches later, and then all of a sudden I saw him go down. And I have to have a feeling that someone said something to him that, you know what, you should be going down. I never was in favor of all the times, I know you hate when I do this. Clint Dempsey used to do it. I'll say Josie Altidore. One of the reasons why I never liked Josie Altidore is that he always went down. It drove me nuts. Even for the U.S. men's national team, it drove me nuts. Anyways, over to you, Emilio. Your thoughts. Should this have been a penalty?
I said it earlier before, about 15 minutes ago. I said I thought it should have been a penalty. And if players are encouraged to fall over easily to get the penalty rather than stay on their feet and try to make the mess of the situation. But I'm taking it from a different perspective to what I was saying to Lookman, not strong enough. Should he have done better? I don't think he was massively pushed. He was slightly off balance, but should he have done better? Again, I don't think he's physically strong enough. I'd argue he was still on his feet, albeit slightly off position, but he didn't get enough strength in that shot. So this is going back to what I was saying earlier about Lookman, is in those crucial positions, when he's got someone around him, he's not strong enough. And that's a problem. And I thought his shot could have been a lot harder than the keeper made a decent save, but I think it was a comfortable save from the keeper. But,
I agree, Emilio. And even before that, when he had the ball on the breakaway, I think he almost was through, but instead his touch took him almost from the right side of the pitch all the way to the left. And that was the reson he had to cut back in the first place. So it wasn't incisive enough. I agree. There's things even before the penalty issue, which could have been criticized.
That's where I've always compared Lookman to Boa Morte 15 years or so ago. And it's just, similar type of player, creates a lot of, opportunities. What Boa Morte had in the tank, he had goals. I haven't seen enough goals in Lookman yet.
Okay.
And Boa Morte had a lot of assists in that very free-flowing football that we were playing 15 years ago. So, and Boa Morte wasn't getting decisions when he kept going down because he was renowned for being a diver. There's been a few instances this season where Lookman's gone down a little bit too easy. I wonder if that's playing on referees' minds as well. Just food for thought.
Okay. Excellent, guys. Let's transition quickly to the second half. And we've already pretty much talked about what happened in the first 15 minutes of the second half. You have the first goal that, again, they were coming at us, and you have a center back that scores, and it was a very bad goal to give up. And then you're at 1-1. Then you have the second goal that, again, was infuriating to go down 2-1. Where I want to take this, Emilio, I want to go back to you, and then I'll go to Max. Is I want to talk about, you and I talked about this off air, and I want to bring it to the show. The reaction, the substitutions, when to make the substitutions. Sam Allardyce changed it at halftime. It changed the match. So you're a manager. What do you do at this point? Do you just go with what you're doing when you're noticing that the match has changed and maybe you should make a tactical change, bringing on a player, changing things up a little bit? Or do you just stick with what you have? Now, he stuck with it. They scored a second goal to make it 2-1, and then he made his substitutions, which I think changed things back in Fulham's favor a little bit. Then we get the second goal, and I think Fulham went back to what they did at the beginning of the first half at the end of the match. So you have to ask yourself, the substitutions I think worked for Scott Parker or Emilio, but they were reactive, and I think they were late. Let's talk about the substitutions, because I think that he should have made it. You and I talked about this. You said to me he should have made it after the first goal.
Yeah, on the hour, latest on the hour, to be honest. Although, the first few minutes, we're expecting their big fella to come on at half-time. But as I was saying earlier, it was a width they were getting. They were getting a lot of space, out wide. If Kenny Tet, for example, was their more natural fullback than Bobby Decaturi, maybe the second goal wouldn't be. It's just little things. It's fine margins, and we keep going on about that. Yep. But Scott Parker, I've been a little bit critical of him in recent games. That his tactical decision making has been a little bit too slow, or he's brought on Kamara instead of Mitrovic in some games. I just thought it's 1-1. West Brom looking more dangerous. They're getting a lot of the ball. Tighten up, change it, go back to Parker ball, get your foot on the ball, and start getting back into the game. But he persevered. Didn't make the change.
By the way,
and I agree that they did when they changed the game when they came on. But I would have rather we change it when it was 1-1. When I was messaging a few people to change it, for goodness sake. I was actually saying controversially, take Lookman off on the hour because he was not in the game. Put someone else on who won't be marked 2 against 1. So we had one player on the pitch who had basically no space. So give West Brom credit for that. But Parker should have made a change on the hour, 1-1, and then you can go chase the game when you're 1-1 rather than trying to come back from a 2-1 deficit. So I am critical. Parker's been a little bit reactive in recent games rather than trying to be proactive and stay on the front foot and try to find a way to win the game. But It's good reacting when you're 2-1 down. You should have done it before. The warning signs were there, and it could have been 3-1. And that's the thing. It could have been 3-1, and we hung on. So it's Parker, you've got to start learning, stop being conservative, and be taking a few more risks. This was a game to take risks, believe in your squad, and go and win that game. I've said the word bloody 3 or 4 times now, but it's go and win that game. And I don't think you had enough balls to make the change when it did.
Okay, and it's funny that you say that because I saw a tweet and I retweeted this from Jack Collins from the Fulhamish podcast, and Jack's a good guy, and Jack has some good analysis. And I don't have the tweet in front of me, but I think he was talking about that Parker wants to play risk-free, but at times you need to take risks to win matches, and that is the difference here. I think that also goes back to my whole thing with aggressiveness, Max. I don't know, but it really is about him. Again, the makeup is to play conservatively the way he is, but it's aggressive sometimes, but it really is more reactive. As Emilio said, his approach is more reactive than proactive. I wish he'd be more proactive. That's where I'm going on that. But Max, I want to go to you, and feel free to share your thoughts on this as well. But I want to get your thoughts on the equalizer, because the equalizer comes, it kind of came out of nowhere, but what a pass for Marison Reed. And as we said, Cavallero scores the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly a bolt from the blue. I would not have thought that it was a 2 substitutes. To be fair, right? Parker put on those 2 subs. Might have been too late. You can argue, but they combined for the equalizer.
They absolutely did.
And it was a period. It was probably 50 minutes to go. I said, "Listen, this is our season right here. We need 2 goals. Who's going to step up? Who's going to become a hero in the squad?"
Cavallero.
Yeah, and it was Cavallero. So we all thought. I joked down Twitter. We were halfway there. That's the thing. If that goal hadn't gone in, we would have been even more negative today. Yep. So not only would have gotten 0 points,
totally
West Brom's ahead of us. So as much as we were also bitterly, exactly. As much as we were also bitterly disappointed by the draw, this averted an absolute meltdown. So we're thankful for that. And as you mentioned, that's a superb cross from Harrison Reed. In a team where we've mentioned there's a lot of creativity lacking, perhaps with the passing ability, could Harrison Reed be someone to unlock a defense? I didn't necessarily think he had that in his locker. That was a tremendous bit of skill to put in there. And again, full credit to Cavallero. I want to say it again. That diving header, the ball skipping off the ground, it's a tough surface. That's a great goal. So
it is.
Just needed
can't do it with his feet.
Can't do it with his feet. But I really like Cavallero as an impact sub, and I think that is his best role for him.
Max. I think in a way maybe that is his role.
Yeah. I agree. Because it doesn't start to start from the off, but he's not totally awful that he doesn't deserve a place in the team at all. So I think it's a nice compromise.
Yep.
And the thing is, I'm frustrated in, Harrison Reed, okay, great, great, excellent, ball into the 6-yard. Why aren't we doing that even when it's 1-1? Or why aren't we doing that when 1-0? Change it a bit. This is the thing. We have to get that ball in that 6-yard box.
Emilio's nailed it.
Force the defenders to clear the ball, get corners, potentially get penalties. That's where you're going to get your
risk, Emilio. That's actually throw it in there. Why not?
Do what West Brom did.
Toss it in there.
West Brom, 2 goals. What did they do? 6-yard box. They scored from both of them. We put one ball into the 6-yard box. We scored from it. Be more direct. Be more aggressive. Don't try to walk the ball in 100 passes when you're 1-0 up and 1-0 down.
I think it's too patient at times for their own good, and that's why when I saw that tweet from Jack, I'm like, Jack got it spot on. He really did, because I think part of this is on the players and part of this is on Parker. That, again, they have a certain approach. It's time at times to change that and be more aggressive. And I'm just going to share this comment because then I want to move on, guys, to what I want to finish up the show on. This is from my friend. If you want to stay up, you cannot play risk-free. I agree with that because, again, we can't just draw all these matches. It's not enough, and that's the point. At some point, you have to win. And I think that's going to be the crux of our discussion moving forward, guys, is how do Fulham win? Because right now they don't know how to win. That's how I started the show. They don't know how to win, guys. So that's going to lead to talking about which side of the fence are you on? I think you guys have an idea of what side of the fence I'm on. And I actually tweeted out a poll, and I'll share that in a little bit. But, Emilio, I'll go to you first, and I think I have an idea where you fall on this. So are you full of hope or full of despair? This isn't glass half full, glass half empty. After this draw, where are you on this? Do you feel that relegation is going to happen, or do you think Fulham can survive? So where do you fall on this? And then, and if you're watching live, we want your comments on this because this is going to be the second half of the show. This is really the topic. Do you still believe Fulham can survive, or does this result convince you the club will be relegated? Where do you fall? And I'll share the poll results in just a few minutes.
Everyone who watches us week in, week out will know I'm a glass half full person, a grounded fan, a grounded feedback. Against Brighton, I said that glass was getting less half full. For me, it's in the middle now. It's not half full, it's not half empty. It's 50-50 now. I actually think it was 75-25. Against Brighton, it was 60-40. Now it's 50-50. So it's a downward trend. It's good performances against the likes of Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool are okay. They're bonus points. These 2 games that we failed to get a win in either of them, I'm very nervous now. We've only got 18 games, and me and Chris Davison were having discussions off air, offline last 24 hours. And, I agree there are enough games to win, but we keep saying a minimum 6 wins that we need to achieve. And we haven't done that. We've only done 2 in 20. So we need to find 1 in 3 basically to win, to give us a chance, not to guarantee, to give us a chance. Those games are running out. The games you'd think you are capable of winning, we're not winning. And that's my worry. So, it's not over till it's over. Okay, it's not over till the fat lady sings. Let's be very clear. There's enough games there that we can win, but how much longer? We keep saying, get some momentum, more difficult to beat. We're not scoring goals. We're not killing games off. It's not enough. 18 draws isn't going to keep us up the next 18 games. We need to start winning some games, and there are enough games there to be won. But I'm progressively feeling more nervous.
Okay.
We're not doomed yet.
Okay. And I have a ton of comments. I'll be sharing them while we do this. But I just want to share the poll so far that I've done on the Cottage Talk Twitter page. And it's 179 votes. I did it kind of late, but it's a good sampling size. Right now, does this result yesterday for Fulham convince you that the club will be relegated? Yes is at 71%, guys. No is at 29%. So, Max, over to you. Where do you fall on this? I think you've already kind of said where you fall on this, but feel free to talk a little bit about this, and I'll start sharing some comments what the Fulham supporters think, and then I'll share my own thoughts on it.
I mean, it gives me no pleasure to say we're going to go down, but that's what I believe right now. I desperately want us to stay up. You look at the 6 matches which we've identified, and they're winnable. These are teams which, as you guys have mentioned, might not have as much to play for given their mid-table, right, towards the end of the season. It's not necessarily going to be a relegation dogfight. I've got the names up here. We've got the likes of Sheffield United home, Palace away, Leeds home, Wolves home, Burnley home, Newcastle home. On paper, those matches do sound winnable.
Yes, they do.
The flip side is, and this is a side I am leaning towards because I think it's the side grounded more in reality, is that we've won 2 matches out of 20. That's a rate of 1 in 10. We need 6 from 18. That's a rate of 1 in 3. When you put it that way, it's a massive improvement, and we've tried to outline the ways we think we can improve. And I think, Russ, the most convincing argument, which you mentioned, is Parker changes style.
Yes, and that to me...
But I think we have to be realistic. I don't see that happening right away.
Okay, and I'm going to share a comment. This is from my friend Steve Reynolds.
Yeah.
And I call him the Fulham fart. Fulham fart here. If Parker changes style, we can maybe make it. He has to be more positive and take chances. This has been my argument through the entire show, Max.
I agree, but I think that's realistic. I think Parker and Stuart Gray, Matt Wells, they like this style.
I know they do.
Which is why I'm doubtful they're going to go for a change because, to be clear, this style has given us the best fighting chance of playing like a Premier League team for the first time, since probably 2012, 2013 season, right? We look like a Premier League side right now in the sense we can stick with matches and stick with teams. You don't get blown away, but we're not getting wins. That's the issue at hand. Another thing I'd say is, we've laid out the 6 matches, which I think are winnable.
Yep.
The reason I'm, leaning towards us maybe not staying up is because let's say we just draw one of those matches. Then we're forced to win against a big team. Then we're forced to win against a City. And that to me is what makes this so unlikely is there's literally no margin for error. We've completely screwed away the margin of error in the past week by drawing Brighton and West Brom.
I understand, but why are you already looking past Leicester City, who actually is losing 3-1 right now to Leeds United, and West Ham, who I think Fulham know how to play against, and I think Fulham can beat. So why are we all – because where they are on the table, I'm throwing that out because I've seen evidence that Fulham can play against both these teams. And Fulham beat Leicester City. So who's to say they can't do it again? See? Glass half full?
That's glass half full, Russ. We couldn't – I'm not going to curse in this episode because, bad for look. But we couldn't beat West Brom. We couldn't beat West Brom. Why are we thinking we can beat Leicester City? We have
because
done.
We have.
We beat West Brom at the Cottage first half of the season. We couldn't beat them yesterday. This team just doesn't know what it takes. It's the title of the episode. I agree with it. I'm yet to be convinced we're going to see something else, but I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong.
Okay. All right. Well, my thoughts on this is, and I will continue to feel this way. I'm in it, and it's funny. Someone already tweeted this. I'm in it until we're mathematically eliminated, and I'm there with them because, one, I just see a completely different team, Max. You've already said this. I know what you're saying, and the big crux is, can they turn these draws into victories? I completely agree with that. But this is, and again, the table doesn't lie, as Emilio said, because we had the same exact point that we were 2 years ago. And I'm telling you, I didn't feel like this 2 years ago. I didn't feel that they had a shot at all in staying in the division. Now I'm thinking that they can, and I still feel that way. But ultimately, like we're talking about, a lot has to change. They're going to have to take advantage of their opportunities much better. And I also think that Parker is going to have to change things up and not be so rigid in the way that he has the team set up. I think he's going to have to change his formation and be more proactive. And as Emilio said, less reactive. You didn't say less reactive. You know what I mean, Emilio. We're talking about him being reactive. I think he needs to be more proactive. If these things happen, I think Fulham are going to survive. And I have proof of it. I have complete proof that this is possible. And I'm going there, guys. The great escape proof to me all. The great escape proof to me, it is possible. And that was late. And that was very late.
Yeah, it's, we keep saying, and we always keep saying, okay, we'll bounce back, we'll get a win next game, but we're running out of these games. There's 10 games since, we beat Leicester City away, and I agree with that, but we haven't beaten Brighton at home or away. We haven't beaten Southampton at home. Right. We've had some tough fixtures in between there as well, but we're running out of game. We've also give credit to the opposition. For us to stay up, we're also relying on other teams to drop points. Yeah. Let's be clear. I'd ask you out of our hands now.
That's very true. We need help. You're right.
We push on. Yep. We have to catch up before we can push on. That's a worry. Look at that gap. How many points are we away from? Okay, Brighton are fourth from bottom. They're 4 points ahead of us.
4 points right now.
And so that target is achievable. West Brom will think, well, actually, they can get Brighton as well. So we haven't got to worry about Fulham. We've got to worry about West Bromwich Albion behind us, who might get some confidence from yesterday's game. Sheffield United are on the up. I think they'll survive, but they will feel they've still got something to fight for. But you have to rely on Wolves to drop points, Palace to drop points, Burnley to drop points, Newcastle to drop points. There's too many ifs. That gap is 2. If we were level pegging, there's 4 or 5 teams with 1 or 2 points difference. We're 4 points from safety, and we're then 8 points from the next team above. That's extremely worrying. That's where I'm more leaning towards. It's all possible. There's enough games to win, but it's all ifs. If we've only won 1 in 10, you've got to start winning 1 in 3 and expect Newcastle not to pick up 2 wins. So put the theory: we win 6 games.
Yep.
That's another 18 points. That's what 18 plus 4. That's 32.
Right.
Newcastle have to win 3 of the next 18 to be on 33 points. Do you see my point? So
yeah, I see.
They've also got to lose significantly as well. Burnley have got to lose significantly. Brighton, there's too many. The gap is worrying me, and that's where I'm finding the problem.
Okay.
Much we're not able to win the games, we're having to rely on other people to go through an extreme.
We need help. You're right about that, Emilio. It's a fair point. I'm going to share this, and again, I'm just going to read this from my phone. This is from our friend Chris Davidson in Spain. He sent this to me, and he told me I could share this with everyone. So I'm going to share this. He actually messaged me this on Messenger, which is great. This is from Chris Davidson in Spain. We've drawn 7 out of our last 9. Yes, draw is no good, but it's fine margins between a draw and a win. A deflected goal, managed 2 yesterday, talking about West Brom. The width of a post, Bobby Decadoveri, a clearance off the line, etc., etc. We are not that far off. Get a win. It breeds more confidence. There really is not that much wrong. Not that much needs changing. Wins will come. And if Brighton lose today, we're 1 point closer to safety than we were last week. That's from Chris Davidson. Max, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's true. We are 1 point closer to safety, but we missed the best opportunity to go, above Brighton, perhaps getting 2 wins. So I keep going back to the waste opportunities this week, and it's January, of 2021. It's no longer early season. This is Fulham matured. This is a Fulham side who knows the team. We can't really complain about the transfers because they're not coming. The cons have failed in that regard in the January transfer window, but there's no point arguing that they failed. Moving on, the players we have are here. If this team can't beat Brighton and West Brom, I keep going back to that logic. If we can't beat a team directly above us and directly below us, why do we think we can beat the teams all the way up the table when we've only won 2 matches all season? I keep going back to those facts.
I think we're better suited to play those teams.
Yeah, this is what I've said as well. I think
you've said that. You think we're better suited to play.
To get a draw against them. I agree. When the pressure,
we have to win.
I don't see any wins. I don't see the wins out there, and they haven't been there.
Okay.
This team has been playing together enough time in the last 2 months while they're playing much better in August. Since that Leicester win, the team has been more organised. They know each other. It's been a fairly stable team, steady shape, and we have been more difficult to beat. But we have to start making it difficult to beat and also converting chances and creating chances, converting and closing games off. Anything is possible. I'm still thinking there's a chance to stay up. I'm not all doom and gloom. Far from it. I just feel it's looking more perilous game by game, and those 2 missed opportunities in the last 33 days suggest to me that we have to up our game significantly to win. We play like we did in the next 18 games, like we did the last 2. It's curtains. Let's be frank. Play like that against any team, you won't win minimum 6.
No.
But if you play like against Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, you can. Which Fulham team is going to turn up on the weaker? I think that's what I think we're better suited to playing a team that's more technically better, but also allows us to play the game like Leicester City, Leeds United. These open games, I think we'll be better suited.
That's where I'm going on this.
To win them. We haven't got that winning minute. Maybe we have to win ugly one game. Win an ugly game in the 93rd minute.
But to Max's point, we have to win one of these matches, like against Leeds United or against someone like Leicester that maybe we're not thinking that they're going to, or even West Ham. They need to beat these teams instead of drawing, as Max is saying. I'm going to share some comments to end the show, guys. This is from Constantino. This is on where they're thinking right now, their belief. This is from Edward Severn. Survive until it's mathematical. This is from our friend Chris Davidson, who I just mentioned. We can get 6 wins with a lot more draws. That will probably be enough. Let's see what else we've got here. This is from Stefan, relegated with a better goal difference than we had last time we were in the Premier League. Oh, boy, that was terrible.
And it might come to goal difference. It might be that extra point might help us. At the end of the day, keep conceding less goals might be a bonus point at the end of the season. But, we took Chris Davidson. We beat West Brom, got 4 points off them. But that's one of two games that we've won. That's the thing. We didn't beat Brighton. We didn't beat Sheffield United.
Yep.
Let's be realistic. We are where we are. We can't keep saying we will get better. We will get better. We will get better, but we need to break that duck, win that first game, and there's hope again. There's belief, but
until they do,
I can't see. We need a lucky win, a lucky 93rd minute penalty that we can score from, whatever it may be. I don't care how we get it. That may change the course of our season. But playing like we have done in the last 2 months, you're being organised, very difficult to beat. But there's not enough there to show evidence you can go and win a game 1-0, 2-0 and close the game out. Like we did yesterday, first half. That was the opportunity. Score the 2 goals, close the game out. 3 points, thank you very much. But we didn't do that.
Okay. Here's my question to end the show, and it's for Max. Max, how do I get Optimus Max back and get rid of Mad Max? What do they need to do?
One win,
to get you to be. Well, I'm asking a question. What do they have to do to get you to be Optimus Max?
We need one more win. We haven't won since November. The world has changed so much since. Think back to where you were in November. This is the last day of January. Let's just put that in terms of weeks, okay?
Yeah.
I'm in university. I've gone to my last semester of university in the time since then. We've had a new United States president in the time since then. There have been probably 5 new coronavirus variants since then. We need to put this in perspective. We haven't won since November. It's going to be February tomorrow. That's why I'm not optimistic. We haven't won a game in ages.
I know, but I miss Optimus Max. I miss him.
We need a win, Russ. That's all. Give me a win, and I'll believe. Literally, if we'd won today, I would have been like yesterday. Sorry, I would have been like, "Oh, this is it. I can feel new momentum."
Well, let me ask you.
I'm looking for something to grasp onto. Fulham Football Club would give me nothing, not even a signing.
Okay. Let me ask you: if they beat Leicester, do you just flip the switch, or do you need a couple more wins?
100%. If we beat Leicester, that's not even one of the 6 teams I've apportioned for us to possibly beat. I'd be 100% optimistic.
Okay.
I'm not asking for. I'm asking for a lot. I know, but I just need a sense that this team is turning a corner.
How do I get to the club to get through to them that I need this to bring back Optimus Max? How good stuff there, Max. Emilio, before we go, I want to get your thoughts on the show and then also where we are at this point.
Yeah, and I think it's 20 games. It's not like Max says, not 2 or 3 games. We've had a poor start. We've had 20 games to regroup, restructure, reshape, get new players in. We've got a fairly settled starting 11. I still think the depth in the squad is a bit of a concern as well. So what we haven't covered off today is the likes of, when Robinson got suspended for 3 games, I thought we missed him, even though he had a poor game yesterday. I didn't think he had a very effective game. If Anderson or Tosin gets an injury, who we've got to look forward to?
Oh boy!
I'm just saying, there's a lot.
That's a good point.
We've got to win games. Don't have suspension.
We have to stay healthy.
Don't get any injuries. There's a lot of ifs here. I know it applies to the other teams as well, but our depth isn't good. It isn't strong enough. So we have to rely on keeping a fairly steady squad for 18 games. We will win a game. It's inevitable. Newcastle unexpectedly beat Everton yesterday. Maybe we can do the same against Leicester on Wednesday night. And that will give us more hope. Like I said, I'm 50-50. I'm down the middle.
Okay.
It will keep going downwards if we start to lose more games or not win enough games.
Okay. Well, all of your ifs took my smile to this. So good stuff, guys. This has been a great show, honestly, and a very difficult subject matter. But I enjoyed that, Max. As always, thank you for joining Emilio and I. It's always fun to do a show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always the best to talk about something, get out of your system. And, listen, you have all the people in the comments, all the people watching. I have you 2 great co-hosts. Even if we get relegated, we'll still have this Fulham family. We're not going anywhere. I try to take a step back sometimes because I'm getting very down about it, but we've been in the championship before. It's not the end of the world. If anything, in some ways, it's more fun. So it's not all doom and gloom, and we'll still have the same core supporters with us when we're there. So
okay, excellent. Good stuff. All right, well, I think it is time to wrap up this show. We will have another show very soon, but let's wrap this up. For Emilio Danella and Max Cohen, I'm Russ Cohen. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.